Every once in a while, I see some posts on Personality Café with subjects like, how do you deal with an ESFJ? Or, how do you deal with an ISTP? And then the bulk of the message is just complaining about a certain thing that a certain person of that type recently did. And of course, half the time, it's a teenage kid complaining about their mom or dad, which is a whole separate thing altogether that I'm not going to get into right now. But for the rest of them, they're talking about an acquaintance at school or at work who just happens to be, say, an ESFJ. It's always an ESFJ. You ever notice that? The ESFJs are always getting the brunt of the complaints. My mom's an ESFJ, so I'm guilty of it too. But anyway, so the ESFJ does something that gets under the person's skin, and so the whole post is just ranting about whatever annoying thing that the ESFJ did. But then the way they ask, how do you deal with an ESFJ, makes it sound like they're looking for just some general advice that's going to help them in every situation involving every ESFJ that they're ever going to encounter in life. And it just doesn't work that way. I know this is just stating the obvious, but there's way more to a person than just their Myers-Briggs type. And you can't just fit each person into a box for their type. In fact, that's one of the biggest things that turns people off to typology. Just the idea that they think you're trying to put them into this box and then assign a label to them. Well, you essentially are when you ask questions like, how do you deal with an ESFJ? It's like every time you have a conflict with someone, what are you planning to quickly speed type the person or read them like the members of a certain crazy cult do? You are a... Never mind. So anyway, you figure out their personality type, and then you're like, aha, you're one of those. I know all about how to deal with your kind. No, you can't do that. So, when I run across one of those posts, and I'm in a responding mood, I'll just focus on the situation that they're talking about, and then maybe keep their personality type in the back of my mind just in case it becomes relevant. And then I'll just figure out the best advice that I can for dealing with that particular situation. And usually I'll even point out that it has nothing to do with any type-related general advice. That's what it comes down to. There are lots of reasonable applications for learning about personality types, but mostly it's just for understanding yourself and understanding each other, not for situational advice that draws on pre-assigned labels on people, or to give you an excuse to just write people off just because they happen to be a certain type. I didn't grow up knowing about personality types. I only learned it this year, and yet I learned how to deal with conflicts just fine. It's just a part of maturing. You have to be willing to step outside of yourself and try to see things from other people's perspectives. Use whichever cognitive functions you're gifted with to do that. Now, if you're willing to use your type knowledge for that, then that's great. That's the way to do it. None of this boxing and labeling stuff. Anyway, that's it.